we are ready to start animating our first object. We've downloaded the Animate CSS, we've attached it to our project, and we've kind of covered what the classes that you need in order to attach the animation. So now we're ready to go in and start applying these animations to our project file. In this demo, what we're going to do is we're going to add our first animation. We're then going to preview the animation, and then we're going to change the animation. This is usually the process that I go over. So I first of all just say, okay, I think this animation might work. I go in, apply that animation, preview it, and it's not exactly what I wanted, so I go in and I change it to a different animation. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We have our 01 start project file that already has our attachment on there. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up inside of Sublime Text. You can see that I have my Animate CSS already attached, so that means I'm ready to go. I'm also going to come up and just open this preview up here. So let's go ahead and hide Sublime. I'm going to double click on this folder and then double click on where it says index.html file. That will pull up the project file so I can see exactly how this is going to work. Now I still have my Animate CSS website open. The reason why is so I can go in and I can find an animation that I want. I'm going to start with bounce in, and so that's the exact animation that I want. So this is a class that I need to be using. So I'm going to come back into Sublime and I'm going to animate this first object. Now I want to animate everything from the image to the heading tag to the paragraph tag. So I'm going to apply the class to this div tag. Now you can apply several classes to a div tag just by adding a space. So you can see it already has a class of col-md-3. That is a bootstrap class. I don't want to mess with that because that handles the alignment. So I'm just going to add a space here, and then I'm just going to say animated, and that's the first class that I actually need to apply. After I add a space, I need to add whatever animation I actually want to have happen. So in this case, let's just go ahead and add a bounce in. So I'm going to type in bounce, and then I'm going to use a capital I and then a lowercase n. Now that is using something called camel case. When you're going to have several words, you can do one of two things. You can add dashes inside of your classes, or you can use camel case, which means that any additional word, if there's two words that you're going to combine, the first word is going to be lowercase. So in this case, bounce is lowercase, and the second word is going to be uppercase. So in this case, in has the uppercase there. Now, if I was going to have bounce in out, then this third word would also be capitalized as well. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these different classes. The bounce in left, the bounce in down, the third word is capitalized there. All right, so now we have these three different classes applied to this one section. So let's go ahead and preview this. So I'm going to come into my Cooking 101 and I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh. I can click on this refresh icon, or I can just hit Command R to hit refresh. And as soon as I do that, this animation is now applied. It is bounced in. I like that animation, but I may want to have something different. So let's go back into Animate CSS. Let's find a different animation that we want to use. For this example, bounce in left, let's go ahead, come back into our project file, and let's add in a left at the end of that. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit save and then preview this again. So it's good to have your code up here. Maybe if you have several windows, you can have your project file up or your code in one window and then your preview in another window. So it's up to you how you want to structure that. But usually I'll switch back and forth with just a command tab here. Then I'm going to come into Cooking 101 and I'm going to go ahead and hit Command R for refresh, and you'll notice that it bounces in from the left. Now that's exactly what I wanted. It now has bounced in from the left. I've applied this animation to this first object, and because I applied it to the div tag that surrounds the image, the heading, and the paragraph tag, everything is actually animating in. If I just wanted to apply this to just the image, for example, then I can come over here and I can cut that, come over to the image class, and then paste it right on the image. Now if I were to come back in here and hit refresh, you'll notice that just the image has animated. So that's how you get started with animating. So let's go in and just take the time, and I want you to do this on your own. I want you to go in and animate each of these columns. So I'm going to go back here and just hit Control Z to go back in here, and I want you to add on your own animation for each of these columns. So you have to have the word animated, and then you have to pick a different animation for each of those columns. You can use the same animations, but just to get used to it, I want you to go ahead and pick different animations for each one of them.